Meeting the San Diego County Community Power Board of Directors. I am Tara Lawson-Remer, Chair of the Board, representing the County of San Diego. We welcome members of the public, community power staff, and board members joining us today at the Port of San Diego Administration Building. I now call the meeting to order. Mary, please call the roll.
Director Euler Rivera.
Present.
Director Fisher.
Present.
Director Insunza.
I'm here.
Director San Antonio.
Present.
Director Suzuki.
Present.
Vice Chair Yamani.
Here.
Chair Lawson-Remer.
Here.
We have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. Let us now stand and face the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Next, we would like to acknowledge that this meeting is taking place on the land of the original inhabitants of the greater San Diego region. A land acknowledgement is a step towards working with Native communities to create meaningful partnerships and inclusion in the stewardship and protection of their cultural resources and homelands. Let's take a moment to honor these ancestral grounds that were the traditional lands of the community. Okay, thank you. We would now like to go ahead.
On October 20th, 2025, La Mesa suffered a loss when Officer Lauren Craven was killed in the line of duty while assisting a motorist. So we're asking for a moment of silence in her honor. If we could just take a moment to honor her memory and her service. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to welcome Bianca Barron and Oipi Maxwell Community Outreach Representatives, Carolina Heredia. Thank you. Key Account Service Analyst and Jackson Welch, Portfolio Analyst, to introduce themselves. Come up.
To college, graduated with an accounting degree, and I have about 8 years of experience working from data management, DCA support, audits, process management, process improvements, as a product owner and technical management. So happy to bring all that experience and support the team. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jackson Welch. I'm the new portfolio analyst on the Power Services team. I studied environmental economics and policy at UC Berkeley, and I'm coming from Southern California, Edison. And I'm super excited to join our Power Services team to forward our goals and missions for renewable energy and our community. And I'm very excited to start with this team. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aoife Maxwell, and I'm one of the new community outreach representatives in the Public Affairs Department here. A little bit about me is that I originally moved here from Ireland 4 years ago, in case you couldn't tell from the accent. And I moved here to finish my studies in international business and marketing. And I graduated from Dublin City University as well as Northeastern University. After I graduated, I moved out here to San Diego, and I'm loving everything San Diego has to offer. And yeah, I just finished up a AmeriCorps fellowship at the City of Encinitas, where I assisted the Sustainability Division with their community outreach, as well as their climate action plan implementation and their reporting. And I still work part-time for the City of Encinitas, assisting them with community outreach as well as city event planning. And I've worked as a community outreach representative here for a little over 3 months, and it has been an incredible experience so far, representing community power in our different member agencies and engaging with community members. And I'm looking forward to continuing that engagement and empowering them with knowledge and choice on our mission. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bianca, and I also am one of the new community outreach representatives here at San Diego Community Power. A little about me is I just recently graduated from UC Santa Barbara this past June with a degree in environmental science, and that's kind of where I grew most passionate about renewable energy and our transition to a clean energy future. At UCSB, I was heavily involved with our environmental affairs board. I was a campus tour guide, and I was also a captain of the surf team there. But so far, during my first 6 weeks here at San Diego Community Power, it's been incredible to see the growing familiarity that people have with San Diego Community Power and the work we do, and also the excitement a lot of people seem to have when we get to tell them about our different programs and our overall goal of achieving an equitable energy transition. And so I'm very excited to continue the work that I've been doing so far and getting to grow with you. But it's a pleasure to meet you all, and thanks for having me.
Thank you. Congratulations, Karen, on a very articulate, impressive bunch. So, thank you. Are there any items to be added, withdrawn, or reordered on the agenda?
There are none, Madam Chair.
Okay, great. We now take up non-agenda public comment. I'd like to note that written public comments submitted before the board meeting were emailed to board members prior to the meeting and will be posted online. Do we have any non-agenda public comments?
We have none, Madam Chair.
Okay. We now move to the consent agenda, items 1 through 15. Are there any board members' comments? And by the way, I'm going to take board member and then I'll ask for public comment. Do we have any board member comments, questions, or anything to add regarding the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor in a second. We will go to public comment on the consent agenda.
Director Eloy Rivera,
Yes.
Director Fisher.
Wait, was there any public comment?
Oh, I'm sorry, apologize. There are no public comments, Madam Chair.
Okay, then you can go ahead and call the vote. Thank you.
Director Eloy Rivera, Director Fisher,
Yes.
Director Insunza,
Yes.
Director San Antonio, Director Suzuki,
Aye.
Vice Chair Yamani,
Yes.
Chair Lassen Reamer.
Yep,
Motion carries.
great. Okay, we now move on to item 16, San Diego Regional Energy Academy update. Lee Friedman, Senior Manager, Strategic Partnerships, and Darby Berry, San Diego Regional Climate Collaborative, will present this item.
Thank you, Chair. Honored to be here, board members. My name is Lee Friedman, Senior Manager of Strategic Partnerships for San Diego Community Power. I'm joined today by the illustrious Darby Berry, who will be doing the majority of the presentation. Just want to intro it for you. San Diego Community Power a couple of years ago got together with the San Diego Regional Climate Collaborative and EPIC, both based out of University of San Diego, on this idea of creating an energy academy here in the San Diego region, sort of modeled after the Citizens Water Academy and LEED and some other things that have been percolating around the San Diego region for some time. We knew that energy is complicated. This world that we occupy is not easy, and we need local advocates, people who are understanding what we're doing, to get involved, stay involved, and it can be a pretty steep barrier to dive into this world. So we wanted to form this energy academy that helped break down those barriers, really give people a foundational understanding of the work that we do so they can continue to stay involved. Darby was a critical component of building the Energy Academy, and we'll be going over the presentation today. We've just wrapped up our third cohort of the Energy Academy, 34 graduates. We already have 15, I think, survey responses back. 100% of the responses so far have said they would recommend a colleague to take the Energy Academy. 90% of them were very satisfied with their experience at the Energy Academy. This is on track with other survey results we've already seen. And Darby will tell you a bit more about how the program has gone, but it's been a huge success so far, and we're very excited to continue the Energy Academy in the future.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. So I have a lot to cover, so please welcome questions later. As Lee mentioned, my name is Darby. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the director for the San Diego Regional Climate Collaborative. This program has been a really wonderful program, but we don't do it alone. We do it with our partners, the Energy Policy Initiative Center, or EPIC. We're both housed at the University of San Diego. and have a really long-term partnership working together. The Energy Policy Initiative Center leads research on energy policy, energy law, and they also lead the Leslie Symposium that some folks might be familiar with. But the San Diego Regional Climate Collaborative, we've been around since 2011, and we're a network for cities, public agencies, and nonprofits, of which San Diego Community Power and all the member agencies represented here are also members of the Climate Collaborative. So a lot of deep partnership that we've had together over years. As we mentioned, San Diego Community Power is one of our founding and foundational partners for this program. They've been on the program and working hand in hand with us since day one to both develop the curriculum as well as has done a really wonderful job. And I want to make sure to give a lot of kudos to the staff team, Lee and his partners who have been really foundational in helping us build out the curriculum and even building out some of our games that we have in the program itself. As well as SDGE, and now Clean Energy Alliance has also joined us as a sponsor starting in cohort 3, which is really wonderful to round it out for our region. So the program, as Lee mentioned, the San Diego Regional Energy Academy, the goal is to create an in-person multi-day program that elevates the energy IQ of San Diego's region's diverse community leaders. So the program is not necessarily just designed for individuals who are working in sustainability, but it's really designed for individuals who are finding themselves having to navigate dialogues with their constituents and their community partners around energy. So we've had really great representation from folks from housing organizations, from workforce development organizations, and the like, to really help increase that energy literacy and also give folks a better understanding of how to engage in the complex landscape that is energy in our region, but also engage their, partners, the communities that they serve in that landscape as well. So sometimes energy can be something that's really, intimidating to understand. Maybe you think you have to have an actual engineering bachelor's degree just to start a dialogue around it. And so the goal of this program is to make sure that all of our community leaders are able to engage in that conversation. The goal of the program, as I mentioned, update and make sure that folks can explore core energy principles. So we start every day with foundational energy 101. Where does our energy come from? Kind of understanding the difference between energy and electricity, and understanding San Diego's unique region itself. So San Diego is a unique region. We are a single county region, second most populous region in California. But we're also 57 out of 58 in our per capita investment from state funding, right? So we're one of those regions that I think often gets a little bit forgotten about. So we have to stand on our own. So making sure that this program is really serving our leaders in our region who are often left behind. So also explore the intersections between climate, energy, and climate impacts, as well as equity. So we have a full day devoted to energy justice and energy equity, which is really important to us, make sure we have that firm foundation. And then understand how we're moving forward into a climate-ready future for decarbonization and climate impacts. All of this is done both in classroom and field trips. I think more adults should be able to go on field trips at work. So we're hoping to bring that to folks as well. So the goal of this program is to bring multiple benefits to the region. One of our main, program benefits of this is that your cohort doesn't just end when, your 3 to 4 days are up, but really create an opportunity for network collaboration. So we try to make sure that we are, doing a little bit of wedding seating with our cohorts as they're coming in from our application pool and making sure that we have representation from diverse networks. We have representation from folks across the county. So East County, North County, South County representation, not just folks in, in central San Diego, but making sure we have folks also at multiple spectrums of their career. So we have folks who are doing Civic Spark fellowships come into our programs, as well as individuals who are much senior later in their careers. We can have that both cross, regional as well as cross generational information. Capacity building is one of those big components too. It's hard to find professional development programs that are free and also accessible. So one of the big components of this program is offered at no cost to the participants who enter into the program. Part of that is to also think about how we're thinking about a just transition. And so we do a lot of work to make sure that this, as I mentioned, a diverse, cohort of individuals, but also a diverse sector of folks represented within our speakers and the information that we're sharing as well. And then our biggest goal is also to advance climate action. So we can't reach any of our climate action goals without thinking about decarbonization across multiple sectors, not just in our buildings, but in our transportation sector and other work. So that's one of our big conversations that we have within the Energy Academy. And one thing we're really excited about, this was not something we intended to design when we launched the program. It kind of came out of the program with folks asking they wanted more, they wanted to be able to continue to engage. The Energy Academy started off, the first 2 cohorts were only 3 days. And we had a resounding one more day chant from everybody. So our cohort that just wrapped up was the first time we launched the cohort with 4 full days of the program, which is amazing. But folks still wanted more. They wanted to be able to deep dive into different topics that we weren't able to cover in depth, in 3 to 4 days. And so we launched the Energy Academy Alumni Network, which has been a really great opportunity to continue that engagement, and then also create a space for folks who are not in the same cohort to be able to cross-pollinate and connect and have something in common that they can lean on as that network connector for each other. So that cross-sector collaboration, deepening that regional impact, and then that continued learning. So my next slide has a great. So we launched this alumni network this fall. We had our first program and our first alumni network program on October 1st. Again, the goal is to make sure that we're engaging a deeper cohort. I think we had the program open, so it's in the middle of our cohort. So we invited individuals from cohort 3 and cohort 1 and 2, but out of the 90 individuals who were invited to this program, we had over 65 registrations. So it's a pretty amazing, for a workday opportunity for folks to come in, spend time with us. But we had a really wonderful guest speaker presentation from San Diego Community Power, EDF Renewables, and PowerFlex, discussing the federal impacts to us regionally, statewide, and what does that mean. So had a really engaging conversation, as well as happy hour networking for folks to be able to cross-pollinate across cohorts. By the numbers, just some data for folks. We asked folks for when they apply to the program to rank their energy IQ, what they think it is on a scale of 1 to 5. 5 being an energy expert. And so we've seen, this is just numbers from the first 2 cohorts, but they saw an increase of over 40% in their energy IQ. We also said, as we mentioned, that this now stands true with our new cohort, that 100% of our participants would recommend the Energy Academy to a colleague. And so we've had now over 90 amazing graduates, and we've received over 300 applications thus far for the 3 cohorts that we've had. And our cohort demand keeps growing. So we kept our cohorts about 30 to 35, which has been really ideal for making sure that everyone gets to meet each other. I think this time around we had an average of folks who said they met at somewhere between 10 to 15 individuals that they would consider new, really deep professional connections just from this cohort alone. So really great just for folks to be able to meet each other. So looking ahead, as Lee mentioned, we actually completed cohort 3 1 week ago on Thursday last week. And we had over 100 applications just for that cycle alone, which was really great, especially because our 3rd cohort was the first time we had done 4 days instead of 3 days. We were a little nervous that maybe less people would be able to step away from their day job for 4 days in a row, but absolutely not. We had an overwhelming number of applicants from really wonderful, diverse sector of individuals. And we had some really great cohorts, field trips. I think I'm going to jump ahead. Should be an overview. Yeah. So just to give you an idea of what happens at the Energy Academy, each cohort is different, both adjusting to what's available, what's cool and new at the time, and also just where we want to be able to take folks to be able to see different things. So there is some intention behind having the cohorts and the field trips be a little bit different so that folks can all cross-pollinate. So day 1 starts with Energy Foundations 101 core curriculum. And we have an amazing procurement game that actually Lee has developed that we played, which is really fun. This year, I think our students they started a coup and started their own community choice aggregate in class. And we were like, that's not part of the rules, but it's okay. It was very fun, really great time. We also went to Mission Control at SDG&E and got to see folks. They got to go to the Workforce Ops Center where folks learn how to scale our electrical poles. And then we also look at exploring energy costs. This time we did a great group activity on having folks understand and navigate battery storage and what that complex issue looks like in the San Diego region. Day 3, we start with an energy equity and foundational justice. We had guest speakers from Grid Alternatives and Turn come in and share with us and get to meet some folks. We also went on a field trip to San Diego Regional Airport Authority, which was really fun. I believe they're also a Power 100 organization for San Diego, but got to see a lot of the work that they're doing to integrate decarbonization along their complex systems. On our 4th day, we've done a field trip to the University of California, San Diego, so UCSD, to look at their decarbonization as well as get a tour of their cogen plant. And then we go to SDG&E's Emergency Operations Center to talk about climate change and resilience. And so this year we had a presentation from Julie Polanski, who's our author for the Regional Effect Assessment here in San Diego. So really great opportunity for our folks. Here's just a few participant testimonials I'll let you read while I wrap up. But Energy Academy has been a really great program. I think it's had a much deeper impact than even myself or my colleague Scott Anders, who leads the Energy Academy with me, thought that it would. It's been a really fun time as well. I think last time our folks every day were like, where's the post Energy Academy happy hour, asking for more and asking to just be able to continue engaging, not just because they wanted to beat traffic, but to also just continue those conversations. So really great testament to just kind of some of the work that we're doing. I think there might be one more in here. But yeah, happy to take any questions.
That was amazing. Very thorough. Any questions?
Just a couple of questions. Is there any cost to participants?
No.
No cost.
The cost of participants is totally free. We've tried to make sure that we keep it as a no-cost program. Not everyone's organizations are able to provide, professional development stipends. So this is one of those opportunities to make sure that folks have access to something that I think is really important, especially right now, given the.
Great. I mean, I think this is a great course. I sitting here thinking, boy, I need to spend a few days at the academy myself. Because you brought up something and it was kind of an interesting thing. You talked about the difference between energy and electricity. Can you just give me like a snapshot what that means? Because it was something I've never thought of.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for some folks, for us, understanding energy and electricity, we often think about energy when we turn our lights on. But in our deeper system, energy and electricity are different. Thinking about our filter at the airport, I think is a really great example of talking about the energy it takes to lift planes off the ground, thinking about jet fuel as an energy source, but not necessarily an electricity source, but thinking about where they are decarbonizing and creating spaces for things to be converted to an electrical source. So that's some of the topics we talked about. So thinking about those integrated energy could be renewable generated, could be carbon generated, but that electricity is something that I think people stop the conversation at sometimes. As long as lights are on, they don't have a lot of questions, right? So that's kind of where we try to make that breakdown. Yeah.
Other questions? Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation and for the work. This seemed like a great opportunity for folks. I'm curious about kind of if there are goals in terms of certain communities that we feel like we really need to make inroads with, and how we're strategizing in terms of bringing leaders in from those communities to make sure that they can be the ambassadors to San Diego community power that we feel like we need.
Yeah, so one of the ways that we've been able to do a lot of robust recruitment through this is why the San Diego Regional Climate Collaborative is one of the core partners on this program. So San Diego Regional Climate Collaborative, we have 65 member agencies across the region. Every single city in the county without SAMT are members of the organization. So we do a lot of work to ask our members, who are typically the folks who are leading climate action plan updates, to reach out to their departments of folks that they think are maybe would benefit from this. So we've had some folks from transportation departments start to take our Energy Academy, which is really great. So we can help folks with the cross-departmental collaboration conversation. And then not on the public agency side, we've done a lot of work to work with some of our nonprofit partners to push this out to their networks. And I will say, I think our alumni network has been one of the best spaces that we've been able to get more diverse participation. Because folks, we've had some folks from different organizations that even I've never worked with before. We've had an individual who's the executive director for a organization that uplifts the voices of the Vietnamese community in San Diego join our Energy Academy cohort because he realized he needed to talk to his community about it. So now having conversations with our alumni network, we're also trying to see who else might benefit from this that we aren't initially thinking of. We've had a lot of folks from housing nonprofits as well, because that is a really great intersection of energy. So hopefully that
Mostly, I think. So I see the strategic plan goals and how this relates. I guess not to like dive too deep into it, but I'm curious. What was like the specific goals that we're aiming to achieve through the academy? I get a sense of just generally improving understanding of what community power is and what we do, but kind of what more specifically are we aiming to achieve through this academy?
Yeah. So I think one of the big things was just to raise the energy IQ of individuals coming through. So both to just make sure that folks understand the energy system and the energy landscape in San Diego, but also understanding how to engage and how to have better critical dialogues with individuals at the leadership level. You know, a lot of folks just understanding how to even engage, or the fact that San Diego Community Power is governed by a board of directors is often something that some of our community partners don't know. Or they maybe don't know that they have to go to not just the San Diego Council meetings, but they have to go to these meetings and different participation. So I think creating some of that barriers for accessibility, just for folks to understand what are the spaces that in which you can engage. We also host some conversations within the Energy Academy around how to engage or what is the landscape within California context. So we've actually had representatives from California Public Utilities Commission, as well as the Center for Sustainable Energy, or CEC, as well as members of the cohort, so that folks can both cross-pollinate with how to access state agencies, what are the goals of state agencies, and then how to engage with state agencies. So a lot of the goals are really to make sure that folks even know what the landscape looks like or what that conversation is.
And then how are we determining where there's gaps in terms of like where we really are not connected with the community in a way that, and I understand, I kind of understand like what we're doing about those gaps by leaning into the alumni network, but I'm curious about how we're identifying those gaps. Is it looking at which communities are way undersubscribed? Is it figuring out which cities have not engaged in policy conversations in Sacramento that we need them to lean into? What's kind of guiding how you all are prioritizing recruitment, and then
Yeah, totally. So I think now that we have about 90 individuals who have completed the Energy Academy, we actually have a good understanding of what is the demographic landscape of individuals who come through the program, as well as folks, you know, who maybe we're missing. So that's something I think we're looking at. Part of these first 4 cohorts was to do robust evaluation. So that's kind of in process. We also survey our cohorts pretty robustly after each of the programs to ask them, hey, do you have communities or speakers that we're missing? Are there topics or things that we haven't covered? So we've actually had some of our speakers from these last cohorts for suggestions from individuals. So like, hey, we want to hear from folks. One of the big projects we had presented from our representative from Grid Alternatives was to make sure that someone could talk about the large TTC rice project that's happening in Barrio Logan. So some of that we get from our alumni graduates, but this is a new program that we're growing, as it's moving. And so some of that is just data that we're gathering right now of like, okay, who are our first 90, individuals? What does that demographic look like? So
thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. This is a receive and file item. Thanks so much. Okay. Yeah, we now move on to item 18, adopt resolution number 2025-20, approving a third revision for the financial reserves policy. Jeb Spengler, Senior Strategic Finance Manager, will present this item.
Madam Chair,
Do we have any public comment?
we need to do 17, item
Oh.
17.
I'm so sorry. I missed item 17. I skipped to Jeb. Okay.
And we're going to have public comment on 16.
Okay. So first we need public comment on item 16.
We have none, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. So we now move to item 17, apologies, fiscal year end 2024-25 financial audit progress report. Dr. Eric Washington, CFO, and Treasurer Helen Gilbert, Melania Rico will be joining us online to present this item. Do we have any? Can we do the presentation first and then we'll have public comment? Correct. Thank you.
Great. Good evening. Thank you, Madam Chair, Directors. I'm Dr. Eric Washington, Chief Financial Officer and Treasurer of San Diego Community Power. I'll be co-presenting this item along with Helen Gilbert and Alana Rico of Soren CPA firm. They are our auditors. Next slide, please. They'll be providing the Board of Directors with the progress report of our fiscal year 2024-25 audit. They have been our audit firm dating back to 2021. through a merger formerly known as Percenti and Brinker accounting firm. Now they're Soren. I'm happy to report that the audit team has been the audit team for the past 2 or 3 audit cycles, and they'll be co-presenting this item, giving the board an update. With that, I'll pass it over to Kellen Gilbert, who is joining us online, and Alana Rico. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And just again, a brief introduction. My name is Kellen Gilbert. I'm the lead audit partner on the audit of the financial statements. I've been in public accounting for almost 18 years, mostly working on government entities, and I have multiple CCA clients throughout California. And also with me tonight is Alana Rico. She's the audit senior associate, and she's been on this engagement for the past few years. Next slide, please. So a little bit about the transition for us. So previously we were Percenti and Brinker, and in May of this year, we're excited to announce that we have combined practices with a number of like-sized and like-minded firms throughout the United States, and we have officially rebranded as one unified firm, Soren. And we really are excited about this merger. We feel like this lets us maintain a local level of control and flexibility so that we can continue to provide the top-notch services to our clients while giving us a little bit more strategic firepower on tackling some big issues, emerging topics in the accounting world, artificial intelligence, and this really gives us a leg up so that we're not trying to tackle those things all on our own as just one firm, now that we're part of a bigger network of firms. So with the merger, we are now a top 50 firm with, I believe it's up to 23 offices throughout the United States and almost 1,000 employees. But most importantly for you, the Santa Rosa office where we're currently located at will continue to be the lead office on the engagement. There's no changes in the engagement team. There's no changes in the cost or the timing of the services. Everything will continue as it was prior to the merger. Can everybody hear me okay? I'm just hearing some feedback on my end. I just want to make sure that that's...
We can hear you great.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Next slide, please. So to jump right into the good news, we are planning to issue the financial statements next week, assuming that the board accepts this presentation tonight. We plan on issuing an unmodified opinion, which is what we call a clean audit opinion, which means that in our opinion, the financial statements are free of material misstatement, and we did not note any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in internal controls. So that is the highest level of assurance and cleanest opinion that we provide in the accounting world. Next slide, please. So I really like to focus on this slide during any of my presentations, just because I think there's continued to be a lot of misconception in the public about what an auditor does. So I like to just point out that management is responsible for the financial statements. They're responsible for all the underlying accounting transactions that make up those financial statements. They're responsible for the footnote disclosures, and they're responsible for establishing and maintaining a system of internal control to ensure the accuracy of those financial statements. Our role as the auditor is to take the management product, which is the financial statements, and to provide our opinion on whether or not they are materially accurate. We do that through what's called a risk-based audit approach, where we consider various risks of material misstatement to the financial statements, and then we tailor our audit procedures to correspond to those risks. We consider the many factors when doing our risk assessment, including internal controls, the volume of transactions, the complexity of the transactions involved with the various financial statements sections. And then we will perform various tests of either year-end balances or transactions throughout the year, analytical procedures to then again assurance that those financial statements are free of material misstatement. And lastly, but also very important, is we read and evaluate the footnote disclosures to make sure that they are complete and without bias. Next slide, please. So just a little bit more information about our risk-based approach. We gain an understanding of operating characteristics, practices, and procedures on various accounting transactions. We'll compare those to our knowledge of similar entities, other governments, and professional guidance. And then we will review processes and controls by performing walkthroughs over significant transaction cycles, with the goal there to be to ensure that processes are actually taking place as what's being performed actually matches up with what the policies or procedures are written. So we want to make sure that there's not one thing written and another thing being performed. So we really want to make sure that we gain a strong understanding of those processes and controls. Next slide, please. And this is just a small area of the focus of the audit. This is not meant to be a complete list, but revenue recognition and accounts receivable, always a important part of any financial statement audit. We tackle these sections with a number of different auditing techniques, such as taking a sample of customer billings, reviewing cash received throughout the year and comparing that to total revenue, and other revenue analytical procedures, as well as reviewing revenue recognition policies throughout the year to make sure that it's being performed consistently. Cash and investments, obviously an extremely important part of any organization. It's a relatively easy area for us to audit. We send confirmations directly to third-party financial institutions, and we consider that to be one of the highest levels of independent audit evidence that we can obtain. Accrued cost of electricity, a very large portion of your financial statements. We review subsequent bills from electricity providers and cash payments to make sure that that is recorded correctly. We're looking for the assertion of completeness. We want to make sure that all the expenses and liabilities associated with the cost of electricity are appropriately picked up in the correct period. And lastly, as I mentioned earlier, the financial statement footnote disclosures, a very important part of the financial statements. We read those carefully, compare them to financial statement disclosure checklists, and we want to make sure that all the required disclosures are there, but also that there aren't any financial disclosures that we don't think are necessary or required. Next slide, please. And so this is the last slide. This is a list of required communications under professional standards that need to be communicated to those charged with governance, which is this board. And starting with the top point, I do want to make a note that while we say there were no new material accounting policies adopted, I want to focus on the note there that says material. There were 3 government accounting standards board pronouncements that were adopted during the year. They just did not have a significant impact on the financial statements. There were no alternative treatments of material items that we discussed with management or any significant or unusual transactions. Really what I'm talking about there is something that we might not have been able to find authoritative guidance on how to account for, something off the beaten path. Again, there were no items like that that we noted. We are not expecting to propose any adjustments to the financial statements. There were no disagreements with management related to the scope of the audit, which means that they provided all the information that we requested. And lastly, we did not encounter any difficulties with management during the audit. In fact, we appreciate everybody's help to get the financial statements wrapped up and the audit completed timely and efficiently. And I think that's the last slide. And so I'm happy to answer any questions on the financial statements or the presentation or any auditing procedures in general.
Thank you. Any questions from my colleagues? Okay, we'll go to public comment.
We don't have any, Madam Chair.
Okay, there's no public comment on this item. Nobody has any questions? It's an important item. Thank you. I just appreciate that this is done and done well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, so this is a receive and file item. So now we will move on to item 18. And that's, as I read previously, approving the third revision to the financial reserves policy.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. I'm Jeb Spangler, the Senior Strategic Finance Manager. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great.
Oh, yeah, I hear you. Raise this up a little bit. Is this better? Sounds better. Okay. Jeb Spangler, Senior Strategic Finance Manager with San Diego Community Power. I'm here with what is the first of going to be probably several updates to our reserve policy over the next couple of months. As you may notice, we are undertaking a close eye, quick review, not deep review of all of our policies. So you've seen several come through the board over the last couple of months. We intend to continue this policy review and update over the coming months. Again, this is the first of probably at least two updates to the reserve policy specifically. We're bringing this today because it's just a very small, specific line item that we're looking to change as a result of the acceptance of using LAIF as an investment tool going forward. So just by way of background, what is our reserve policy and why do we have a reserve policy? Ultimately, it's to protect the organization and the agency because we're in a very volatile industry. That's first and foremost. Other items listed here are just meeting our strategic objectives. Eventually, it will help us obtain an investment-grade credit rating. It helps us secure favorable terms with our vendors and our power producers, satisfy our working capital requirements, meet our contractual requirements with banks, and just to be able to address unexpected expenditures going forward. By way of background of what our policy timeline looks like, the first version of our policy was adopted shortly after the formation of our organization. It was a pretty bare bones, I think, policy, if you might call it that. In February 22 was the first little bit of a broader update. I think we initially proposed a 90-day cash on hand target, which was included in that first revision, and then just also authorized other delegated conditions for the use of those reserves. A more thorough update occurred in June of 24. That was our second revision. That was where the 180 days cash on hand target came from. So it increased from 90 to 180 days. That just kind of coincided with the growth of the organization and kind of additional knowledge of the risks that we faced with all of our member organizations now online at the time. This particular update, it would be the third revision. This third revision is just simply an update to the metric that we calculate reserves at, which is the days cash on hand target. The metric as it's currently stated, and I'll get to this on the next slide. Before I move to the next slide, Q1 2026 is when we're expecting to come back to you with a very thorough update in conjunction with some updates on just financial performance and risk analysis measures that we've been working on for the past 6 months. So while this is a very limited update to a very important policy, I just have to say more to come within the next couple of months. So our reserve policy, we define reserves as our net position, which is simply just the difference between total assets and total liabilities. Although within our definition of reserves, we actually have a calculation for our target goal of days cash on hand. And our definition for days cash on hand has historically only included unrestricted cash and cash equivalents, which does not include investments. So in one of these reviews, we're looking at potentially funding this new investment tool, the local agency investment fund, which is a money market equivalent account. We recognize that by submitting funds into this LAIF account, we would potentially be against our policy by not including that investment total within our days cash on hand target. So while this is entirely for our own purposes and our own calculations, we wanted to be thorough and be able to include the use of investments within that reserve policy and reserve target goal. So simply the update here is to just include the language that's in the black in the orange box, which is and investments unencumbered by legal agreements and not earmarked for specific purposes. So that's ultimately the update here. And again, more to come. With that, that concludes my presentation. I welcome any questions.
Any questions? Comments? Congressman, sorry. Councilmember Rivera.
Yeah,
I could tell he was thinking. Okay.
Tough question.
Okay.
I'll take it. I love talking about it. I'm here all night.
Okay, go ahead.
I guess I do have a question.
Great.
Could you show me the last slide? Is that possible? So it's about the days cash on hand, and I know I've asked questions before because I'm so dense, but so the investments unencumbered by legal agreements and not earmarked for specific purposes, those would go into the days, they would be included in days cash on hand as operating expenses. You said, right? So
Yeah, so it's currently, so that part of the equation is actually already included in our net position. The net position also includes other restricted funds, other accrued receivables, except stuff like that. Stuff that we probably couldn't necessarily use for liquidity purposes, paying bills. So our reserves goal is ultimately this net position number, but we define what our target is as the days cash on hand, which is really just a number of days that we would be able to cover our expenses.
I see. So this isn't, the investments are not necessarily investments that could be liquidated to pay bills, or they could be.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
They could be.
they're, yes. So the local agency investment fund are generally funds that are shorter in term, and you have access to them for liquid purposes.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
I want to
I
ask
know,
that.
I
Sorry.
know. I could see it.
Thank you. How much longer, if at all, how much more time do you anticipate it to take to hit this goal than what our current policy would take?
Yeah, and I'll define current goal because we are reviewing whether or not that goal meets our needs as an agency now. So at the end of July, I think we were at 400 million. Using the days cash on hand calculation, which includes what our budgeted operating expenses are for 25, 26, the target becomes 500 million. So we're now a few months into that. I think we have actual results through August, which through your presentation, which I think was another 20 million towards the goal. I think current projections are probably within the next few months we might hit the 180 days.
Right, but does the recommendation in front of us, do we anticipate it pushing out, like in a more kind of more specific way?
Mm-hmm.
In what way are we pushing out the date that we would hit our target?
So we're not necessarily pushing out any
Okay.
date. Yeah, no, we're still full steam ahead to try to hit the 180. So this revision to the policy will just basically, so we've already been including investments within the days cash on hand number. So maybe that's part of the question.
Yeah. So if I understand kind of the way there are certain things that there's good reason to have reserves in the reserves policy and the cash on hand. And there are things we are not doing with that money because we're trying to hit those targets. And so while we are aiming for those targets and building those reserves and that cash on hand, we made a policy decision to not do those other things. So the longer we're pushing out, or the more difficult it is to hit those goals, the longer it is we'll be before we can do those other things.
Yeah, we're not pushing out our target. We're not pushing out our goal. We're reevaluating the number that is our goal based on the risks of the agency. That's part of our risk analysis that we're doing. So any additional target or goal could potentially extend out the time before we fund other types of programs. So if that's your question.
I think Karen understands where I'm going as well.
I would just say that this specific ask is just to clarify that investments are part of the day's cash on hand, the liquid unencumbered investments.
Right. So the answer to the
not
question would be,
anything.
it doesn't.
It doesn't, just this.
Just wanna
But
be-
what,
yes,
yes, but
thank
what we're
you.
saying is we are, now that we're mature, starting to look at what is that range or what is that number for reserves, given the volatility in the market, given our size, all that. But we will come back to you with
Right.
a comprehensive look at that.
Yep.
In I think it's Q1, and we may even preview some of it.
We were hoping, we didn't want you to be surprised that this is coming back to you within the next couple of months with much more thorough analysis, and we look forward to bringing that for you.
Understood. I appreciate that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I'm glad for you to ask these questions. This is like probably the most important thing that we're doing here today. So thank you. Okay. So we now have public comment.
We don't have any, Madam Chair.
No public comment. Okay. Do we have a motion?
I move to adopt resolution number 2025-20.
Okay. In a second, we have a motion in a second. Please call the vote.
Director Rivera, Director Fisher,
Aye.
Director Insulza,
Yes.
Director San Antonio, Director Suzuki,
Aye.
Vice Chair Yamani,
Yes.
Chair Lassen Reimer.
Yep.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. We now move to item 19, approve agreement with Aspen Environmental Group for long-term load forecasting. Janine Camara, Director of Portfolio Management, will present this item.
Well, good evening. Hopefully you can hear me. Good evening, Board Chair, Board of Directors, Janine Camara, Director of Portfolio Management. And I'm here with the recommendation that the board approve the professional services agreement with Aspen Environmental Group for a 2-year long-term load forecasting and compliance services agreement, including a not to exceed amount of $150,000, and authorize the CEO to execute the contract. This agreement is to develop, test, support implementation of a customized long-term model to forecast hourly and aggregate customer demand for use in Community Power's financial and resource planning. All right. For some background, Community Power's long-term forecast of customer demand is critical for us to cost effectively meet our goal of supplying customers with 100% renewable portfolio by 2035. We previously had contracted entirely for those services, but the forecasting function is transitioning. But the forecasting function is transitioning in-house to Power Services staff. As part of a competitive bidding process, staff evaluated forecasting and compliance support services and bringing forward this contract. So long-term demand forecasting is key for Community Power to plan to meet our goals. Our long-term forecast is used for our planning of future electric resources. It is used in our cost of service analysis, any rate design studies, and it's also used in any future scenario analysis. Community Power's long-term demand forecast is also a regular compliance requirement with the California Energy Commission and the California Public Utilities Commission. For example, the long-term forecast is included with any of our integrated resource planning, just to demonstrate how we are planning to meet that long-term customer demand. It also is used to set our resource adequacy requirements each year. And also, very important, our long-term forecast is a key input to Community Power's financial modeling and our risk analysis. And our forecast does inform all of our rate design. So improvements to our long-term model and forecasting capabilities does support two strategic plan goals. One, to develop a clean energy portfolio with a renewable content of 100%, no later than 2035. And two, to prudently manage the power portfolio to minimize risk and to minimize costs for our customers. So following the competitive solicitation, staff is recommending the approval of this 2-year agreement with Aspen Environmental Group. Aspen is a California-based corporation with extensive experience in energy, economics, modeling, and policy. They have experience working with CCAs, and they primarily work with public agencies in California, including municipal utilities, on things like forecasting and analysis. So Aspen's team will develop, test, and support implementation of a customized long-term forecasting model to forecast hourly and aggregate customer demand for Community Power's financial planning and for our energy resource planning. The 2-year contract provides time for development and customization of the long-term model and training and support for staff to take on full ownership of the long-term demand forecasting function. So the long-term demand forecast outputs also are going to be aligned with our internal financial modeling framework, and it will provide forecasts by customer rate class, month, and time of use period. It supports more sophisticated financial modeling and scenario analysis as our region continues to electrify, as we add additional electric vehicles and our distributed energy resources, and even add additional large load customers. The Aspen agreement supports continued improvements to our strategic decision-making around forward procurement of energy resources to meet customer demand and to meet our renewable targets. This agreement, subject to a not to exceed amount of $150,000 over the 2-year term, and does include an option for Community Power to extend for an additional year if any of those funds are remaining. And for fiscal impact, apart from the $150,000, our load forecasting costs have already been included in the approved operating budget. But we have that concludes my presentation. So happy to take any questions.
Any questions from any director?
I have questions. Sorry. So
Don't apologize. Thank you.
you're right. Thank you. So you talk about financial modeling, and I understand the energy forecast and needing that, but and needs. But when you say financial modeling, what are we looking at? Like, what does that mean?
Well, great question. Thank you for asking. So one example is, financial modeling when we bring forward, recommendations to the board. If in 5-10 years, we might look at our load forecast. And with this new customized model, we could also look at scenarios where if we're expecting high electrification or low electrification, or potentially impacts from, outside factors. It helps us
include that in the long-term analysis to get different financial pictures and try to manage that risk between all of them. There's a lot of uncertainty, but it helps us identify different risks and try to plan effectively for them.
I see. So would that include things like, if let's say the federal government is changing, certain kinds of, I don't know, rewards or whatever it is, that go with renewable energy. So this firm would help us better assess our risks and be prepared for it?
It will, yes, better help us. Well, we're building a model, and basically community power staff is going to, at the end of the day, own and operate and use that model. But it's going to be much more sophisticated than what we have now, and it's going to allow us to do more financial analysis around some of those risk situations. Right now, our long-term forecast is from a vendor, and we don't know 100% of everything that goes into it. And we have less control over changing some of those inputs to see what the result would be. So by bringing this in-house, it gives us more control over those inputs. And so we can do different scenario analysis.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Thanks. Great presentation. I like the approach that, say, community power takes it, bringing things in-house because there's a lot more local knowledge. I wish the state of California would allow us to do our own thing in our own cities. But I think you mentioned that they're going to help build out this product for us, and then staff will operate it and manage it. Mm-hmm. And as far as the support goes, what's that look like? Just kind of keeping us on track or just answering questions?
Yes. So basically from the kickoff, we're going to have regular meetings and, develop exactly what that model is, talk to them about what assumptions we know, what we don't know, what risks, and how to prioritize it. They'll also look at our customer data in aggregate, and we'll kind of bring those things together for the model.
So it just really lets our staff learn and go and instead of having somebody drop in a bunch of stuff that they think is good for us. And it's interesting because this item and then the next item have similar things. When you talk about long term, because I'm sitting there thinking long term, like 2 years down the road, that's where I look most of the time. What does long term mean versus with the next item where it's short term?
Yeah. Well, long term, to us usually means 10, 15, 20 years out. And so the models are different. In the long-term forecast, we're building more of a bottom-up model where we're looking at economic factors. We're looking at EV penetration. We're looking at some of those factors, whereas in the short-term forecasting, it's much more reliant on the weather and the most recent customer data.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Do we have any public comment?
We do not, Madam Chair.
Okay. Great. Do you have a motion?
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor, and we have a second. Please call the roll.
Director Elo Rivera, Director Fisher,
Aye.
Director Insunza,
Yes.
Director San Antonio, Director Suzuki,
Aye.
Vice Chair Yamani,
Aye.
Chair Lassen Lehman.
Aye.
Motion carries.
We now go to item 20. Approve master agreement with Yes Energy LLC for short-term load forecasting services. Janine will continue to present this item.
Yes. Well, thank you again, Board Chair, Board of Directors. My next recommendation is to approve the master services agreement with Yes Energy and the service order for short-term load forecasting services for an initial 12-month term and automatic renewals not to exceed 5 years for $422,935 for short-term load forecasting services, and authorize the CEO to execute the contract. For background, Community Power's short-term or daily forecast of customer demand is required for day-to-day operations. Community Power previously contracted for this service through our scheduling coordinator services agreement with Tenasca Power Services, but this function is now transitioning to a new vendor following the competitive solicitation process. So short-term forecasting ensures that customer demand is met daily and cost-effectively. It's primarily used in the day-ahead market timeframe for scheduling, and it's required to participate in the California Independent System Operators Integrated Forward Market, which is basically we need it for the day-ahead market. It helps us balance, supply and demand on an hourly basis. The accuracy of our day-ahead forecast also directly influences real-time market energy imbalance charges and costs. And this forecast is used to inform our programs team of when to dispatch customer side demand resources or customer programs so that they are capturing the greatest benefit for our customers. Improvements to our short-term forecasting capabilities supports our strategic plan goal to prudently manage the power portfolio and minimize costs to our customers. So following the competitive solicitations, staff is recommending approval of this one-year agreement with Yes Energy with up to 4 additional years if we renew. Following the initial 12-month term, we can elect to terminate the services without any penalty. And basically what the Yes Energy team is doing, they are developing multiple load forecasting models that reflect the total electric usage based on customer class, based on geographic area, and the developed forecasts will be used to produce an overall aggregate hourly demand forecast that then is submitted by our scheduling coordinator to the California ISO daily. The agreement includes access for Community Power and again for our scheduling coordinator to have access to the forecasts at no additional cost. It includes weekly error reports for us to track the accuracy and the effectiveness and continue to make recommendations for changes. So staff expect ongoing improvements to Community Power's short-term demand forecast. Does reduce costs associated with wholesale market participation, and the total agreement will not exceed $422,935 over the maximum 5-year length. And again, these costs associated with this function have been included in the approved budget, but Power Services is bringing this agreement forward in hopes just to continuously make improvements. And that concludes my presentation. Happy to take questions.
Not a real question, but what a great name. Yes Energy. You're showing up with Yes Energy. I'll show up with Yes Energy. So, any questions from anyone? Yes.
I just have a real quick question. So with all the investment in the modeling and those types of things, I heard that, we're going to see some reduced costs, but does this in turn directly impact savings for our ratepayers?
It directly impacts our wholesale market costs. So yes, overall, it is lowering costs. Can I tell you exactly how much the ratepayers will save? But the more accurate we are, the more strategic we can be and better decision making, which will in turn lower costs and help us increase value.
Sure, sure. And just to comment is, I'm fairly new to the board, and to hear all this is very, very interesting to me because I don't think anybody in the world besides people who are involved with this understand how this works. It's like, turn the lights on and why is it so expensive today? I work in food service and, you have to worry about demand. If 500 people show up and you're ready for 50, you have a problem. I imagine the same thing's true for the agency. So thanks for the presentation.
So in one of the previous slides, it said that if after a year we decide that this isn't working with Yes, we can terminate the contract. Right.
Well, after 12 months, yes, we have termination rights. Yes Energy, or the Tesla forecasting team, which is part of Yes Energy, not the same company, but they have over 25 years of forecasting experience. So one thing that we were excited about is, our partnership with Canasta has been fabulous. However, having someone who specializes in load forecasting, we're hoping to see improvements. And so then maybe potentially bring that in-house if we can produce a better short-term model. But that's a maybe, we'll see. So we're still expanding and developing those capabilities.
How did we find Yes?
How did we find Yes? Well, Yes Energy is a fairly large company. The power services staff is very familiar with it. They actually are our PowerCore software, so the ETRM software that we use and brought forward for approval. That is Yes Energy, a Yes Energy company. They have forecasting. They have a lot of data analysis, a lot of pricing tools that are very valuable to the power services staff.
Thank you.
Other questions? Do we have any public comment?
We do not, Madam Chair. Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And second? Okay, thank you so much. We have a motion and a second.
Director Elo Rivera, Director Fisher,
Aye.
Director Insunza, Director San Antonio, Director Suzuki,
Aye.
Vice Chair Yamani,
Aye.
Chair Lassman Reamer.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you so much. We now move to item 21. This is approving the First Amendment to the Voluntary Allocation Market Offer Confirmation with SDCP Company. Kenny Key, Director of Power Contracts, will present.
Thank you, Chair and Board. I've got a couple items here tonight. So this is the first of two. So what we colloquially call VAMOs, it's a voluntary allocation market offer. This was directed by the CPUC at the formation. It's at every CCA's formation for the local incumbent utility who had engaged in multiple long-term contracts, whether that's on power purchase agreements or long-term energy storage agreements for their customer base. A good chunk of that customer base then departed and came to the CCAs. So they no longer needed the energy, the attributes, or the storage capabilities from those contracts. And so the CPUC instructed them to offer those to the new CCAs in the territory. Back in 2021, the board agreed to engage in that contract and engage in a long-term, what we call VAMO, which was a contract for the renewable attributes from a portfolio of power purchase agreements that San Diego Gas and Electric had contracted. So this original agreement that was signed off back in 2021 had a delivery term that ended December 31st of 2033. However, that was essentially in error because the CPUC had directed incumbent utilities to allow that contract to provide the attributes for as long as the longest power purchase agreement in the underlying portfolio lasted. So this amendment that we're taking today is a really simple amendment. All it's doing is not changing the pricing terms, not changing the underlying assets. It's simply modifying the delivery term. So instead of that ending at the end of 2033, it'll end at the longest of the underlying power purchase agreements that's in the portfolio. That timeline extends it to us being able to get deliveries through 2042. Now, again, a lot of the portfolio does run off in 2033 to 2035, but there are some 15 to 20-year contracts that do run to 2042. So again, it just allows us to continue to get these renewable attributes from these projects through that term as we continue to grow our portfolio. And again, all the pricing and all that stays the same on inline agreement. It's a fairly simple amendment that will be improved. SDG&E's board has already approved this. If you all approve this as well, any contract with an investment utility has to go back to the CPUC for approval. So that'll be the next step in this process. You'd be authorizing once the CPUC agrees to this for our CEO to sign and effectuate the transaction. So again, with that, happy to take any questions on this item.
Any questions, Director? How about any public comment?
None, Madam Chair.
Okay, seeing no questions and seeing no comments, do we have a motion?
I move to approve.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We have a motion and we have a second. Please go ahead and call the vote.
Director Elo Rivera, Director Fisher,
Aye.
Director Insunza, Director San Antonio, Director Suzuki,
Aye.
Vice Chair Yamani. Vice Chair Yamani.
Vice Chair Yamani, you're on mute if you're trying to vote. Aye. Okay, thank you.
Chair Lassen Reamer.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think we're good. Now we'll move on to item 22. So this is approve amended and restated energy storage service agreement for the Chula Vista Energy Center. And we're gonna stick with Ken.
All right, yeah, thank you again. Okay, so I'm going to give some brief background on this project. So this is a project, one of our local standalone storage projects. There are currently two that we have brought to the board with the developer Wellhead that we've been working with for several years now. One of the projects, the North Johnson Energy Center, was a project that I brought to the board, I believe it was 4 months ago, for an amendment very similar to this one. We held off on this project at that time because the final conditional use permit was not in hand. We wanted to wait until Chula Vista had a say in the project and scoping before we brought the amendment to this group. So that was approved 3 weeks ago, and so now I'm bringing this project to you. So again, this was approved back in 2024. It's almost 50 megawatt 4-hour battery that's located in Chula Vista. The site is actually the facility is a current peaking natural gas plant. So one of the strategies that us and local developers have used is to try to site batteries at current facilities that are natural gas plants. There's two benefits of this. One, there's already a transmission interconnection that can most cases be used because again, a peaking natural gas facility is not sending power all the time. Secondly, it does tend to show over time that will reduce the reliance upon the peaking natural gas plant. The battery typically can pull enough power to support that, so you can really reduce some of those localized emissions. Okay, so again, a standard energy storage agreement from our portfolio. This one is a 15-year, so we try to diversify that between 10 and 20. This one is a 15. The current guaranteed commercial operations date is June of next year. So again, we're really excited to try to get these projects online as soon as possible. Local storage and local resource adequacy is hard to find, and so we're really excited for the ones that can get in. The scope of this is a few things. So this and the other project that I brought to you guys 4 months ago, both were pretty severely impacted by the tariff increases that have been going on. And so as you know, larger developers can diversify that, smaller developers like Wellhead, it's more difficult to hedge against that risk. And so, you know, we really wanted to work with them based upon this being a local project, providing local resource adequacy. But we weren't going to do that just to increase price for no reason and not have any other benefits to us. So we worked really hard with them, and they were really good partners working with us on finding ways that we could get additional value that were kind of low cost to them for us to be able to justify in our model that they increase price that makes sense to us. So one of the things we can do is increase the number of cycles. This is the amount of time to charge and discharge the battery. The typical contract we have is a one-time event. So that only allows you to capitalize on the energy arbitrage between high and low prices one time a day. So we got that increased in this contract, which again provides more value and models very well for us. We also want to be really, really strict to protect our ratepayers on the operation date with that pricing. So if we're going to entertain a higher price and you're telling us this is still going to be a mid-26 project, we're going to hold you to that. So we have really firm requirements in there, and the price does significantly decrease if they are slightly delayed from that timeline. And then if they are delayed beyond into 27, it basically goes back to the original price date. So again, we want to really hold their feet to the fire on this. We need it in 26. We want it for summer RA. And if not, we want to be able to have the savings we were hoping for our ratepayers. And then again, as we've done with some other amendments I brought to the board in the past year, as the slice a day rules have come into play, that requires some kind of minor adjustment to the contracts to account for that and make sure we're protected. As with kind of all of our storage technologies, we want to provide a little bit of overview. Again, they, similar to the North Boston facility, they are using the state-of-the-art this Tesla Mega Packs. So these are kind of really the top of the line in the state. Most projects are using these. And again, the rationale is they've kind of met and exceeded most of the safety standards as well as the fire code standards. They're really designed to have containerized systems that if there is any potential incidents, if they're in the runway, it'll be contained to a single unit that'll burn out and easily replaced, but it doesn't roll and then impacts the larger facility. This project is a brief reminder of why we really like this to begin with when it was originally bid into one of our RFPs, is they have agreed to a full project labor agreement. They've also agreed to a maintenance labor agreement, which is not as common. And so this is for after construction is completed. There's often a lot of maintenance to be done. They've also agreed to a labor agreement for that. So again, that's a really big win for local labor. There's a lot of jobs that are going to be local. It's in a disadvantaged community that'll help offset some of the natural gas from the cooking plant. And also not as part of our contract, but as part of their negotiations with the local permitting authority, they have agreed to about over 200,000 community benefits to the local community. This will help things like scholarships. I think there's some that's been allocated to do some park renovations and some baseball field renovations and other beautification projects, in addition to like substantial tax revenue that can go to the local community. So with that, again, we have very, very aggressive local targets for procurement, both on the utility scale, which is what we have this project as well as the distributed scale. So this really is one of the, a 50 megawatt project. It's fairly substantial for our area. And so this will really help us meet those goals. And again, local resource adequacy. This is one of the projects that has been awarded full deliverability, which is very key and very hard to provide in our area. And again, we can lock in even with the increase a very competitive rate for providing us energy arbitrage, ancillary services, and happy to take any questions on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from anyone? Fantastic. Okay, great. Great to hear. Thank you. Anyone else? I just want to note how hard it is to get the ongoing labor agreement on the maintenance. So good work. Thank you. That's really hard. Thank you so much. Public comment?
None, Madam Chair.
Okay. Seeing no public comment or comments from my colleagues, is there a motion? We have a motion and a second. Okay, please vote.
Director Elo Rivera, Director Fisher,
Aye.
Director Insunza,
Yes.
Director San Antonio, Director Suzuki,
Aye.
Chair Lassen Reamer.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you so much. Okay, now we're moving on to item 23, the San Diego Regional Energy Network update.
Good evening. My name is Sheena Tran, and I'm an Associate Director of Programs, and I oversee the San Diego Regional Energy Network, or SDREN, day-to-day admin and program operations activities.
I'm joined by the SDREN program team, Ali Spurlock, Amy Whitehouse, Marissa Van Sant, who will be presenting on each of the programs. We're happy to be here to present the last item for this evening and to share an update on the SDREN activities and present an overview of the energy efficiency programs that will be available in the region in the coming months. As background, the SDREN programs are energy efficiency programs offered throughout San Diego County. In January 2024, Community Power, in partnership with the County of San Diego, submitted an application to the California Public Utilities Commission, or CPUC, to form SDREN and its portfolio of energy efficiency programs. And in August 2024, the CPUC approved our application and authorized funding of $124 million through calendar year 2027. The portfolio of programs serve underserved and hard to reach residents, businesses, public agencies, and tribal governments. Our focus since our approval in August has been to conduct activities to prepare for program launch, including onboarding dedicated SDREN staff members, completing CPUC compliance requirements, and continuing planning activities to commence the full SDREN advisory committee. So this diagram here shows how SDREN is structured. It's led by Community Power and the County of San Diego, with Community Power serving as the lead portfolio administrator. There's the advisory committee made up of regional governments, community-based organizations, nonprofit organizations, trade organizations, and also other stakeholders in the region. And then there's the program operations team, primarily made up of Community Power staff and third-party implementers. To provide a bit of background on the SDREN Advisory Committee, the role of this committee will be to provide advisement and recommendations on program improvements to the oversight and administration team, which is made up of Community Power and the County of San Diego. We formed an inaugural committee last summer to help us think through what this future advisory committee would look like. And our working sessions covered how it would function and the cadence of meetings, etc. We have since incorporated the input received from the inaugural advisory committee members into a draft charter that we're currently working on finalizing. And our goal is to have our first meeting in Q1 2026. Moving on to our timeline. As mentioned, the focus of our activities has been to prepare for program launch, which includes procuring third-party implementers. So the team released requests for proposals or RFPs in a phased approach, with the first RFPs released in February 2025, covering the 2 workforce development programs and the codes and standards program. Contracts have been executed for these programs, and the teams have began program ramp-up activities over the last couple months. A month later, in March 2025, staff released phase 2 of the RFPs covering 4 programs. That's 2 programs serving public agencies and tribal governments, and 2 other programs serving residential customers. The last phase of RFPs was released in May, covering 3 programs serving commercial customers. We're currently in contract negotiations for phase 2 and phase 3 and expect to have all contracts executed by the end of this year, with some programs in market by Q1 2026 and the remaining programs following in Q2 2026. This here summarizes the programs and budgets in each of the phases I just described. And I'll now hand it over to the SDREN program team to present each of the 10 programs, beginning with the Workforce Development Program.
Hi, everyone. Allison Spurlock. I'm a senior program associate, and I manage our adult workforce program, the Workforce Training and Capacity Building Program. So SDREN's Workforce Training and Capacity Building Program is designed to really build capacity in the San Diego region of the clean energy workforce. The program will focus on both skill development of individuals interested in entering the clean energy workforce, as well as incumbent workers that are interested in upskilling in their current positions. The program will target both job seekers and employers. Job seekers will be able to receive training and certifications to help them build skills and be provided with pathways to enter into the clean energy workforce. They'll also be able to receive wraparound services such as resume development, interviewing prep as examples. And then for the employer component, The program will offer guidance to participating employers to help them develop new policies that really focus on employee training and professional development, helping them allocate funding for that training and allocating time for skill development. And now I'll hand it off to Amy to talk about our other workforce program.
Good evening, Chair and Board. My name is Amy Whitehouse. I'm a Senior Program Manager, and I'm managing the Energy Pathways Program, as well as our programs for public agencies and tribes, which I'll follow with in just a minute. So our Energy Pathways Program really aims to connect students grades 9 through 12, increase their access to and awareness of green energy careers, and it does so by supporting these students in their broader support network of educators and school districts with access to resources such as no-cost curriculum, career technical education credits, the opportunity to enroll in community college courses at no cost, and even paid internship opportunities. We also wanted to make sure our program services address barriers students might encounter in participating in a program. So we're going to work to connect them to wraparound services that might address access to technology, barriers, transportation barriers, as well as providing them with the opportunity to connect with mentors to sort of provide additional close level support to support their overall professional development. So we think this program is going to be really important in contributing to growing our region's pipeline of green energy careers, which we know is essential for the work that we need to do to reach our goals. Our next two programs I'll talk about are going to be available to our public agencies. The first is our Codes and Standards program. And this program really aims to increase our regional compliance with Title 24, which is our building codes and standards in the state, as well as support jurisdictions that want to go above and beyond the state standards and consider exploring REACH codes. So our target audiences are authorities having jurisdictions and the folks that are working in permitting and building departments within those jurisdictions. And we're going to connect those folks to services such as technical assistance, customized resources, and templates. And one component of this program I'm really excited about is we have a team of energy code coaches, which is a group of experts that really understand the complexity of the building code, will be available to answer questions and even offer some in-person support behind the permitting counters at the jurisdictions that could really benefit from that capacity the most. Our second program for public agencies is our Climate Resilience Leadership Program. And this program really has the goal to help public agencies reach their energy efficiency goals through supporting these energy efficiency projects. So this program has the opportunity to deliver kilowatt hour savings, which we know is really important for our organizational, regional, statewide goals. And one important way it does that is through offering low to no cost direct installation of energy efficiency equipment for public agencies. So HVAC, heat pump water heaters, lighting. We know it's really important to drive down those project costs to make those a reality. But the program services go beyond that financial incentive. Will include customized project management support. So from identifying the project, targeting facility audits to make sure we're identifying those opportunities for energy efficiency, as well as helping public agencies with their energy and resilience planning. The last program I have for you today is our Tribal Engagement Program. So as many of you know, San Diego County is home to the most tribes compared to any other county in the country. So when we were designing the SD-RUN portfolio, we felt it was really important to have dedicated resource for our region's tribes. So this program is exactly that. It provides dedicated funding to support tribes in proposing their own energy efficiency initiatives and provides them with customized technical assistance from identifying the initiative through implementation and providing some direct funding to remove barriers they might have in making those initiatives a reality. So we really envision this project also being able to leverage other programs in the San Diego Regional Energy Network. So for example, if a tribe decides that they want to pursue energy efficiency upgrades at tribal headquarters, we could then refer them to services that are part of our climate leadership program, which I just spoke about, and they could leverage those incentives, which just kind of further maximizes the benefits that are available to tribes. But we wanted to make sure we had a dedicated program that sort of provided a consistent and culturally sensitive point of contact for tribes as they navigated the larger landscape and options of programs available to them. And I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Marissa with our final programs.
you, Amy. Good evening, directors. Thank you for your time. I'm Marissa Van Sant. I'm a senior program manager, and I manage our 2 residential programs and 2 of our 3 commercial programs, which I'll be covering tonight. And Allison will come back and cover our 3rd commercial program. So to begin, the overall importance of serving the residential sector here in the San Diego region is because of its significant opportunity for energy savings and decarbonization. Those opportunities include our high population. As already discussed today, San Diego County is the 2nd most populated county in California. So we have just a high opportunity of individuals to reach through our residential programs. Also, 50% of our housing stock is over 40 years old. So we have a lot of buildings that really could use opportunities to improve their efficiency. And lastly, 56% of our region's population live in what is considered an underserved community. So there's a lot of opportunity for us to be able to reach customers that fall into sensitive populations and also that reside in older buildings. So that's where specifically we have 2 residential programs that can serve customers in our region, that being a single family program and a multifamily program. Our single family program will provide no cost technical assistance and low to no cost energy efficiency upgrades for single family and mobile homeowners as well as renters. The program services in our single family program will specifically be targeted towards hard to reach and underserved customers with an ability to provide a sliding scale of services to reach customers at all levels. Those program services specifically will be including no-cost energy efficiency starter kits to really introduce customers to energy conservation opportunities, as well as education to the types of energy efficiency upgrades they could be performing in their homes. It'll also include sample project scenarios specific to their residences that are informed by site assessments and expert information from energy coaches themselves. We will also be identifying opportunities to layer program incentives. So there are many programs across the region that are serving the residential sector, but oftentimes customers do not know how to access all of those incentives to layer on a scope of work to overall either reduce the cost of those upgrades or to benefit by reducing overall, or rather increasing the scope of work that they could perform through multiple programs. So that's called program layering or leveraging or braiding. And that is really a key service as across all of our programs. And we think will really maximize the value of what the regional energy network is bringing. Lastly, and also really importantly, part of our technical assistance is going to be offering customers what's called bill analysis. This is going to be offering them the opportunity to better understand their energy bill, the times in which their energy costs are highest, and then also the opportunities that they can do, they have to reduce them. Our multifamily program operates very similarly to our single family program by offering no cost technical assistance, funding to support low to no cost energy efficiency upgrades, again, offering at that sliding scale of opportunities, focusing most of our opportunities in hard to reach and underserved customers, but we still want to be able to offer services to any customer that is interested. And so what is also really exciting about the multifamily program is that it is targeting properties with 2 or more units. That historically is not common in multifamily programs. Typically, multifamily programs have a minimum eligibility of 5 or more units. So here now we have an opportunity to serve many of our smaller properties that exist in our region. So in addition to the building type differences between single family and multifamily, another difference is the ability to just reach more residents through the multifamily program. The scale of multifamily projects can reach thousands of residents, but also have deep retrofits for properties, which can greatly improve the daily lives of the residents that live in them. So the program, again, will engage property owners to offer energy efficiency opportunities, literally looking for those quick wins. These property owners don't have a lot of time, so how can this program come in with the incentives and the opportunities to be able to help them get a project off the ground? Once that project has been identified with that property owner's authorization, the program will also then meaningfully engage with the residents in those properties, offering no-cost energy efficiency starter kits to, again, really engage that first element of energy conservation practices that can occur, as well as introducing them to technologies that are meeting them where they are in their energy journey. So these programs will be evaluated based on the total kilowatt hour savings from the projects, as well as the number of energy efficiency kits that are delivered and projects that are completed. All right, now shifting over to our commercial programs. Again, I'll introduce 2 programs, and then Allison will come up and cover our third. So we have 3 commercial programs that will be offered to small to medium businesses throughout the San Diego region. Commercial programs are specifically being designed with equitable services, again, targeting our hard to reach and underserved customers, with the ability to really help them adopt energy efficiency technologies. So that will first start with what we hope a primary entry point for most of our customers coming through the Small to Medium Business Energy Coach program. This program, as it says in the name, is really to help businesses receive coaching to understand what opportunities they have for energy efficiency upgrades. So this is really going to be a great program, first to do a building audit as well as benchmarking to identify the historic energy usage patterns of these businesses, and then find the best programs that will be able to provide energy efficiency upgrades. The Small to Medium Business Energy Coach program will offer a small suite of no-cost measures that will essentially attract customers in. But then if they want to do deeper retrofits, we would then refer them to our market access program that I'll cover. Or if they fit a particular technology type, our efficient refrigeration program could be another fit for them. So again, it's really identifying like how the customers can be served and then strategically navigating them to where their opportunities are going to be best. The Energy Coach program will operate as a concierge-style advisory service, again, giving them information through all those pathways that I just described, also providing them with customized guidance that lets them know which incentives can be layered, stacked, and braided, and then hopefully being able to then navigate them through an actual project. Again, the Energy Coach program is what we're hoping to be the first stop for customers. The market access program is really a deeper retrofit opportunity. And what is really unique about this program is that, well, rather 2 things are unique. One is that it's offered actually through a network of contractors that are going to be offering project opportunities directly to their small to medium business customers or clients. So they will be able to approach their customers and say, we have an opportunity for a program where we can do holistic energy efficiency upgrades, and we will be compensated actually based on the energy savings that are verified from those projects. So over the course of 12 months following project completion, we will then measure the energy savings from those projects and then pay the contractors actually based on those savings. So contractors will be entering this program fully understanding the incentive rates that they will be paid based on the savings. They'll understand how to forecast those savings and then where the incremental payments will be coming and when they will be coming. This again is a really great opportunity to measure flexible project scopes and deep project scopes. So again, really a cool opportunity for us to engage with our commercial customers and really understand what types of projects have energy efficiency impacts, positive impacts, I should say. And so lastly, what again really excites me about the market access program is that during this 12 months of post-evaluation on the programs, we will be able to talk directly with the business owners and see how the projects have impacted them and what observations they've made over that time. So I will now turn it over to Allison. Thank you.
Last but not least, we have our efficient refrigeration program. We're really excited about this one. Community Power has actually been piloting this out over the last year. So we're really excited to scale it up and serve the entire county. So SD Run's efficient refrigeration program will serve small scale corner stores, grocery stores, and businesses that sell a limited selection of food and other products. Through the program, participants will be able to receive energy efficient fridges and freezers at no cost to stock with fresh foods. And then this will help support energy cost savings as well as improving access to healthy foods in their communities. Through the program, we will provide one-on-one support to participants to help them choose their equipment. as well as different education and resources on sourcing produce and product placement and promotion. And that concludes my update on this program. I'll turn it back to Sheena.
Thank you. And that concludes our update on San Diego Regional Energy Network activities. Thank you for the opportunity to present this evening. We remain very excited and working really hard across the agency to bring these programs to the market in the first half of 2026. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Just a quick question. Do you need any assistance from any of your board of directors in publicizing and getting the word out?
We definitely will.
Okay.
As the programs are
Great.
coming out.
We should all be on top for that. Okay. Just let us know what you need.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, go ahead.
So sorry, I'm really excited. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I think that everybody's going to be excited in La Mesa for sure. So when you say that you have you did, it sounds like you already tried a smaller sample of the efficient refrigeration program. Is that correct? So will you have examples and testimonials of people who have done it?
Yes, we currently have about 26 participants for that pilot, and we're sending follow-up surveys and collecting testimonials.
Okay, great. And when you say no cost, does that mean that you folks will provide the equipment?
Yes.
At no cost to them? So, okay, that's awesome.
Covered, yeah.
That's crazy. That's great. I love
Mhm.
that. And well, I mean, $124 million is a lot of money, right? So that's awesome. And then you said there's a so starter kits. What would be in a starter kit?
We haven't finalized all the items that would be included in an energy efficiency kit, but it could be a smart thermostat or it could be educational materials. So we haven't finalized that list yet. Once we have our third-party implementers on board, we would identify if there are any items that perhaps they're already getting from, another program in the region. We just make sure that we're not duplicating or replicating what is already being distributed.
So does that mean that a person could apply and maybe get a Nest? One of those nests
Potentially.
for free,
It's a possibility.
or maybe like a
Yeah.
discount.
But there are a lot of opportunities across our programs for measures at no cost. So if it's not in a kit, it could be incentivized through what's called direct install.
Oh, that's great.
No cost to the customer.
Okay, great. And then the last one is actually, I'm asking for the school districts. I also saw that there was going to be no cost. So does that mean, and you mentioned HVAC, so I don't know if I heard correctly. What if a school district doesn't have air conditioning or something? Would you then go in and put something that is energy efficient into the school district or into a place that maybe does not have proper air conditioning? Sorry.
Yeah. So one of the steps that we would do with the customer is provide an energy audit. So that's where we go in and assess the building's performance and make recommendations. So we would provide the participant with enough knowledge and information so they can make an informed decision if they do decide to increase their load by adding HVAC if they didn't have it already.
I see. Would they possibly then kick in some funding, or is that no? Like, I'm just trying to figure out where school districts can apply.
Yeah, our services to schools cover a lot of measures. We don't have our finalized measure list, so a lot of measures could be covered at no cost to schools.
Awesome. Thank you.
Other questions? Go ahead.
I second the chair's mention of how can we help, because obviously this has been very important program for the region, but also very popular. Who makes the decision on who gets the help and assistance?
Yeah, so each of the 10 programs has its own eligibility requirements. So we'll be working really closely with our third-party implementers to write up what are the eligibility requirements and what does that application process look like. But it will be different for each one of the programs.
But who's going to make the decision? Has that been determined? I'm just asking because I know that there's going to be a lot of wants and definitely a lot of need for sure throughout the region. And there's always a finite amount of resources in everything we do.
Definitely. And most of the programs will be operating on a first come, first served basis.
Okay, perfect. That's great to know. Everything from workforce to helping, cities to helping schools, just amazing stuff. We have a job fair in Pearl Beach at our local high school every May, and we'd love to have the team come out and participate. This job fair was started by one of our council members, Matthew Levy Gonzalez, and it's taken off. This year was the 4th year, and I think there was over 75 participants. Not kids, but actually outside community entities and stuff like that. And it's really grown, and it gives kids pathways that aren't college centered. Lots of different things. So I think that'd be great. Last question I had is, in Imperial Beach, we're about 65% renters. How does that work when there's, wants by a renter, but perhaps some not so much caring by an owner of a building? How does that work so that, because the relief doesn't come to the landlord when you have energy savings, it comes to the tenant.
Yes, and we kept renters in mind in designing our program. I'm going to hand it over to your sisters and things to be better.
Sure, that's a great question. So hopefully a couple different ways we can effectively serve renters. One is being able to provide those conversation support directly to the renter to say, all right, let's see what opportunities you have. Are you ready to now discuss this with your landlord? How can we help with that conversation? So in the single family program, that's how we're envisioning that support looking. And in multifamily, it will be very similar, but we're hoping to have that buy-in earlier because we're able to work with the property manager. So there's just different ways that we can ensure that renters are receiving those direct services. In the event that the landlord doesn't want to move forward, which will likely happen, there are still appliances that renters take with them, like even refrigerators. A lot of people bring their own refrigerator into the units that they rent. So that would be an eligible piece of equipment that we could still actually serve that renter with, and they can receive that benefit of actual energy efficiency upgrades.
Great. Thanks so much. And thanks for everybody coming out and sharing the good work that you're doing. It's really, really cool to hear.
Thank you. Any other comments? Do we have any public comment?
We do not, Madam Chair.
Okay. Does anyone have make a motion? Or is it receive and file? Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. And we have an update from Karen. Thank you, Karen. Go ahead.
Good evening, Chair Lawson Reamer and members of the board. I'm pleased to share a few highlights from the past month and preview some exciting community engagements ahead. We kicked off October with a press conference to announce the relaunch of the Solar Battery Savings Program, led by our very own chair, so thank you for that. The event spotlighted the importance of this program for the local solar industry, workforce development, and explained how customers can access solar and battery storage systems to build a more resilient future. On October 10th, more than 50 Community Power employees joined forces with staff from the San Diego Football Club and Tree San Diego to plant 100 trees as part of the Tree San Diego Plantathon in National City. This was a hands-on demonstration of our commitment to climate action, community partnership, and environmental stewardship. I also had the opportunity to participate in a San Diego Startup Week panel that was focused on how innovation can advance our industry, and particularly artificial intelligence. And I also participated in an annual PANC seminar in Northern California, of which I'm also on the board, to connect with other industry leaders. Next slide, please. In the month ahead, we will continue our commitment to community engagement at several upcoming events. We will be at the Jackie Robinson YMCA Resource Fair. We'll be at the MAC Community Center Food Bank, and we will join the Surfrider Foundation for a beach cleanup in Encinitas. These events reflect our mission in action. Together, we are building a clearer, cleaner, more equitable energy future through collaboration and service. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any director's comments? Okay, that brings us to our end of our agenda. Thank you so much to everyone for being here today. Our next regular meeting will be on November 20th at 5 o'clock. You're adjourned.